Hello and welcome to this tutorial where we're going to look at adding a button onto our quick access toolbar which will run our macro. So I have this spreadsheet that contains a macro, but at the moment there is no way of triggering it. I don't have a clickable button to run that macro. The only way I could run it at the moment is to go to my View tab, into the macros dialog box, which I can use at the top half of my macros button here, and to run the macro. And that's not a bad idea, just to test it works okay before you take things any further. But that's not good enough for when you have a macro and you want it to, you want to just click a button and it will do the business. And we're going to look at 3 different places you can add a button over coming tutorials. But possibly the most common place to add a button will be the toolbar at the top of our screen, known as your quick access toolbar. You can see I've got the standard save, undo, redo buttons up there already, and I've also got a paste special values button up there, a button I use a lot and I've added at some point in time. Never a bad idea, stepping aside from macros for a moment, to look at personalising that and customising it to your needs, so that you can work, much more productively day by day, using the features you use a lot much quicker. Good shortcuts. For now though, I'm going for the drop down arrow on the end, and we're going for more commands because we're hunting out our macro. More commands. Drop down arrow at the top of this kind of middle section saying popular commands. We're going to change to say macros to show all the macros that we have. Now there's quite a lot showing on mine because I've got the analysis toolpack add-in installed, which is what all this other stuff is. You may even have more than what I've got there. You may have similar add-ins provided. You may have other macros. But I can see as I scroll through, whether you only have this or whether you have tons of stuff in there, I can find protect formulas, the macro are recorded in the first lesson of this section of the course. And I'm going to add that across to the right. So the button goes across, it maintains that name with the underscore in there, and it has this flowchart icon. Now, first thing I'm going to mention here is at the top of this right hand side it says for all documents. So this button will be available to me in any file that I use. Now thinking about that for a moment, in the first tutorial I saved this macro to this file only. So by making this button available in any file, it'd be redundant anywhere else. If I opened up a different file and clicked this button, it will moan at me and say, "Where is your macro? I cannot find the macro to run." So it might make more sense, well that's not a terrible thing to keep it as it is, to remove that button. And I'm going to change this drop down arrow at the top here to this file only. Now I believe I'm right in saying that that functionality came out in the 2010 version of Excel. So depending on what version of Excel you're using, you may not be able to create a toolbar specifically for one type of file. But I believe it was 2010 and then onwards that became available. If not, just save it to the general toolbar. It's not a terrible thing. But I'm going to add that across now, so this button is only available, along with the others, although I don't see them, only in this file. And my next step is going to be to use this modifier button at the bottom of the right hand side, where most importantly really I can look at changing the name. And I'm going to change to protect cells with formulas. I can use spaces now for a better display name. I don't have to worry about things I can't do, such as using spaces or starting with numbers in my name. I can also change the image. Now there's not many images there that really say protect formulas. I'm going to quick scan to see if there's anything half decent. I might go for an anchor, maybe that sort of similar. I don't know, not really. I'm going to choose that anchor because I like it. And I'm going to click OK. So now my icon is an anchor. And my name is Protect Cells with Formulas. If I click OK, that button becomes available on my spreadsheet. And if I went to review for a moment and unprotected this sheet, because it is still actually protected, and then I went and hit that anchor button, it protects the spreadsheet again. If I go back to review, it's protected. So that's gone through them steps of unlocking everything, selecting the cells of formulas, locking them and protecting it. Now available just at the click of a button on the end of the toolbar there. If I quickly created a new spreadsheet, if I do Control N for a new file, I can see that that anchor is not there. It is only available in that one file. If it was there, I'd click it, it would moan at me and say it can't run a macro. That's not a terrible thing. It's not ideal, but I've managed to isolate it to this file, which is, I would say, better. So we've got our first way of triggering a macro there. First of a few as this course progresses, but possibly the most popular place to put one on, because it is the quickest way of accessing it, apart from a keyboard shortcut, is that we can click that button at the top from any sheet, any ribbon tab. It's there for us.